Hi, Jay. Thanks for joining us today.
Cell phones, mute your cell phone.
Oh, they're yelling. Hey,
Thanks.
how are we?
Really good, thank you. So first question I've got, I know you've been calling out a lot of people. One of them's Conor McGregor. Someone else from the UFC who you actually mates with now, Jorge Masvidal. You never know the way the fight world works at the moment. He could be potentially stepping into a boxing ring in a couple of years. If that was to happen, who do you think would win?
Uh, it's hard to say. I've never sparred against him, but obviously he's a great striker, one of the best strikers in the world. And again, that probably wouldn't happen for a couple of years. And I don't like fighting my friends, so probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, I guess like you said, you never know.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said you don't like fighting your friends, but is there still a potential fight between you and Logan Paul? I know you teased that a couple of times.
It depends what day you ask us, right? I think a lot of people want to see that. I think it would be massive, but at the end of the day, our parents don't want us to do it. And I don't know if I would even want to do it. Sometimes we're mad at each other and we want to punch each other. And other times, like right now, we're perfectly getting along and supporting each other and everything. So the world may never see Jake Paul versus Logan Paul, but hey, you never know.
All right, next up is Jake Bennett. You're up, Jake.
Hey, Jake Bennett here with Music News and Rumors. It's good to be talking to a fellow Jake. How's it going?
Yes, sir. I like that name.
So your fame as an
Going
internet
good.
star precedes you going into this weekend. What do you have to say to people who think you might not be ready for such a high-profile fight?
Tune in and see if I am or not. Find out for yourself. TrillerFightClub.com. Order that pay-per-view because if you're not watching, you're the one missing out. And look, I've dedicated the past 18 months of my life to this, and we've been in serious training camp, sparring world champions. So you're gonna see if I'm ready or not.
I know you're here for the fight, but there's a lot of fanfare going on in Atlanta around the event. Have you seen a musical lineup, and which artists are you most excited to see and maybe even meet this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this event is that it's more than just a fight. It's entertainment all the way around. And I'm excited for all the performances. I think each and every one of them brings a different genre of music, and it's gonna be incredible. I'm obviously a believer. Been a believer for a while, so excited to see Justin perform. And he's obviously a boxing fan, which is why I think he did this. And so hopefully we get to kick it after.
All right, and now next up is Theo Salon. Theo.
Hey, how's it going, Jake?
Going good, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you for taking the time. So, so you've mentioned kind of like, disproving the doubters and the haters and, wanting everybody to tune in and kind of see what you've been working on. And, we've seen comments from people, like KSI saying, oh, do the world a favor and knock Jake Paul out. I'm wondering, one, is all of that kind of like hate fueling you? Is that a motivating factor?
Yeah, for sure. I use it all as gasoline in the gas tank to work harder every single day. And I know that going into this fight. And I know that for the past 3 fights I've had is everyone wants to see Jake Paul lose. And that's why I work so hard every single day and surround myself with the best team and take this so seriously because this fight means everything. Losing is not an option, quite literally. It just isn't an option in my head, and it's not it's not going to happen. And I've put in the work, and that's why I'm confident in my ability and confident that I will come out on top.
Yeah, I feel that. And then are there any like kind of comments or people in particular that you kind of have bookmarked in your mind? Like, oh, I can't wait to kind of like show them wrong.
No. I think there's a long list of people that I don't really keep track of it. I'm excited for Dana White to lose $1 million, but other than that, I'm going to prove millions and millions and millions and millions of people wrong. And they have, like you said, motivated me to become the best version of myself over the past couple of years.
All right, next up is Boxing Social.
James here for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. How are you doing, Jake? You all right?
Yes, sir. Chilling, enjoying the moment, man. This is crazy. Headlining a fight and my third fight, and it's massive. I mean, Justin Bieber's performing, and this could be one of the biggest pay-per-view events in history. So, just enjoying the moment. Happy to be here.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Jake. This boxing path that you're on right now, there's this expectation from the fans who are watching this for you to eventually fight KSI. It's in the comments, it's in the socials. They'll type for you to fight KSI. Like, have you had any contact with KSI in the lead up to this fight, and do you think he still wants to fight you?
I don't really want to talk about him anymore.
Okay. And with that said, like, as you delve deeper into the fight game, you've been training from the first time you put on the gloves to now. There are levels in the sport. You've got your domestic, international, world-class, elite. What level do you see yourself at now, and what level do you think people see you as?
I see myself as an elite fighter right now, a young prospect with a lot of motivation, a lot of hunger, and I think people see me as a shitty amateur. So there's a sort of a big difference, and there's a big gap in between where I'm actually at and what the general audience will think. But I'm excited again to show my ability on Saturday against Ben, who is a world-class fighter.
All right, next up, follow-up is Shaquille Majori.
Hey, Jake, thank you for the time. Just one question for me. Ben Askren was here earlier, obviously speaking to us, and he said that he was carrying the lion's share of the promotion and that you weren't really doing your part. Can you just sort of respond to that? Do you think you've put in at least 50% of the effort for promoting this fight?
So this guy has 21 fights, right? And all of a sudden, this is the biggest payday of his career. And there's a reason for that. Ben Askren had his dick in his hand in Wisconsin, not doing shit. I brought him out of retirement, revived his career. And so I think it's hilarious that he thinks that. He's under these bright lights in front of all of you because of me. I could have picked anybody to be in Ben Askren's position. And everyone that I fight becomes a global superstar for 15 minutes. Then I knock them out and no one ever talks about them again. So, Ben Askren can think what he wants. He's got about 48 hours left until no one talks about him anymore.
Great, thank you, Shaquille. And next up is Theo Salon with a follow.
Hey, Jake. So, you mentioned, wanting to challenge yourself, but also have fun. And I know that, you've got your eyes set on guys like Conor McGregor. But, are there any kind of more fun kind of influencers that you are interested in fighting moving forward, like guys on Twitch, or even TikTok or YouTube streamers, stuff like that?
Yeah. There's a company right now that wants to pay me an absurdly large amount of money to fight an influencer. So I'll gladly go knock out these guys for money. I've developed a skill now, right? And that skill is fighting. And if someone wants to pay to see my skill and use my name, which is one of the biggest names in combat sports right now, then I'll gladly pick up the bag.
All right, next up is Donna Corby.
Hey, Jake. I want to ask you about last Friday, your final sparring session ahead of this fight. You were in there with Charlie Deca, who's a 3-0 pro, and the great Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, a famous internet troll, a guy in the MMA community who is divisive. Can you talk to me a bit about your final sparring session with the great Pretty Boy?
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, these guys are all better than Ben. I think he was doing some interviews after the sparring session and was like, it was good and he was better than I expected, and he's fast, and I landed some good shots. No, you didn't. You got your ass beat, my friend. And all respect to you. I know we're not supposed to talk about sparring as boxers, but if you're gonna go out there and say, it was an even sparring match, when we watch back the tape, it's not even close. But of course, he's gonna say that it was decent and all this stuff, and protect himself. Obviously, that footage probably will never come out, and it's he said, she said. But I'm getting better. I'm getting the better of a lot of these MMA guys, and it's funny to just see what they say after those sparring sessions.
Yourself and your brother's relationship, obviously the public are always going to conflate you two. We saw him on The Masked Singer. They thought that he was going to be you. But, it seems like he's back in the mainstream after a few years, in the wilderness. And you are paving this path in boxing. Maybe he's going to fight Floyd, maybe not. It seems like your relationship with him is as nicely separate now as it probably has ever been. Is that a fair assessment?
I think we're yin and yang, and I think while we're both individuals at the same time, we're on the same team. So it's this really weird parallel, and I think it's the rise of the Paulus 2.0. I mean, who's doing it?
All right, Donna, thank you very much. Now back to Jake Bennett.
Hey, Jake. So there's going to be millions of people watching online, and it's projected to break some big pay-per-view records. But is it strange for you to be at such a massive venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, even though there's going to be an extremely limited crowd?
Yeah, it's weird. I wish there would be a crowd. The fight energy isn't the same. When I knocked out Nate Robinson, the whole arena was silent. Like you could hear a pin drop, and it's weird, but obviously we're making do with it. And hopefully for my next fight, we can have an audience and make it turn.
All right, and now we have Boxing Social.
Hey Jake, a couple more questions for me. As you delve deeper into the sport, like the risk gets bigger. You're fighting Ben, who has real fight pedigree. I saw one of your videos. You had like a visit to the doctors who talked about like the damage that you've received already. Are you worried about, as you take more risks, the effects you've experienced and what could come?
Yes and no. It's a dangerous sport, and that's why when people question my dedication to it, it's like I'm showing up every single day. I'm putting my mental health on the line. My brain is on the line. I like you said, I've gone and gotten brain scans and have early signs of CTE, but I love this sport and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And I'm a fighter, and people will see that, whether it's after Saturday night or whether it's a year from now, that they will see that I'm a fighter.
You talked about dealing with things mentally. You've had to deal with stuff in the lead up, that's including a loss of someone personal to you. Do you carry that into the fight, and are you dedicating your performance to Shadow, who you lost quite recently?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And it's a shock to all of us in the team, and it's deeply affected us. And it's hard without him. When you're with someone every single day and you live with them, and they're, he was a father figure to me in many ways and had my back 24/7. And yeah, he's gone now, and I've never experienced something like that before. But he would want me to go out there and knock this guy out, and he predicted a first round knockout in 2 minutes and 28 seconds. And so for some reason, I think that's going to happen. And man, yeah, I wish he was here. I wish he was here, but he will be here in spirit. And I think a lot of the emotions will sort of hit me after this fight, because I've been sort of trying to suppress it to stay strong.
Next up is Damon Martin.
Hey, Jake, just a couple follow-ups here. You mentioned you were kind of looking forward to Dana White losing $1 million on this fight. Obviously, you're fighting Ben Askren, a UFC veteran fighter. You want to fight Conor McGregor. Do you have fun kind of getting the animosity with the MMA guys, or is it just like that's just the rivalries you've been building so far? Like, what is it with you in the MMA community that you've been so entrenched in that?
I'm just having fun, and trolling, and I've sort of purposely pitted the MMA community against me, so they tune into this fight. Ta-da! It worked.
Is that we talk about your future fights? You mentioned Conor. I mean, obviously that would be massive. But is Conor the only guy? I mean, I think you mentioned somewhere that if Dustin Poirier beats him, you'd also be interested in that fight.
Yeah, Conor's the big name, right? He's an A-list celebrity, and there's very few fighters who are A-list celebrities. So, we'll see what happens. I hope he wins against Dustin, I guess, so that the fight becomes more exciting.